and welcome to Corporate Insights webinar on the results of our 2025 Brokerage Experience Benchmark, which we published in June of this year. My name is Ian Bonitel, and I'm the Brokerage Team Research Manager here at Corporate Insight, and I led the research on the Brokerage Experience Benchmark. So before we dive in, I just want to highlight a clear opportunity that really presented itself when we conducted this research. So our research shows that of the 21 leading brokerage firms covered in this study, 90% earn a lower overall score in the mobile experience benchmark than they do for web. And for most of those firms, the gap between web and mobile offerings is significant. This is highlighted by the overall average scores, which for the mobile benchmark was 54, and for the web benchmark was 67. So with this gap in mind, our survey data shows that younger generations, and Gen Z in particular, prefer a mobile-first approach and likely feel frustrated when they can't accomplish core brokerage account tasks in the firm's mobile app. So in today's presentation, we'll examine this parity gap between web and mobile brokerage experiences, both overall and in two key categories: account information and research and tools. We're also going to look at CI survey data that highlights the features and capabilities that real users find most important and which they use the most across both platforms. This is the agenda for today's session. So I'll begin with a brief introduction to Corporate Insight and our services, and then I'll walk through the benchmark's methodology. After that, we'll take a look at some of our key 2025 investor survey results, followed by the overall scores and ranks for the top 10 firms in web and mobile this year. Then we'll dive into two key benchmark categories: account information and research and tools. And then finally, we'll save some time for Q&A at the end. So to introduce Corporate Insight, our firm has been an industry leader since 1992, and we've been researching digital experiences for as long as they've been available. We serve leading financial services and healthcare firms, and we provide the competitive intelligence and UX research that they need to build best-in-class customer experiences. What makes us unique is our ability to combine customer insights with industry expertise. We analyze the user experiences of more than 200 institutions, and we deliver recommendations that help you make data-driven decisions. Our research shows what it's like to be not only your customer, but also your competitors' customers, which helps you meaningfully improve your experience with concrete recommendations and gain a competitive advantage within your industry. Our services span 5 key areas. So first, our monitor research services, which is how Corporate Insight began. And this tracks 21 industries and provides timely updates on competitor changes, comprehensive product and capability matrices, best practice reports, a rolling archive of videos showing real competitor digital journeys, and of course, our analyst support. Second, our experience benchmarks, which we're of course talking about today, and which provide comprehensive annual studies with quantitative scorecards and strategic recommendations. We also offer 3 customized services: custom research projects, UX research, and quantitative research. And all of these are designed to provide tailored insights that drive business growth. So all that is to say that if you're a product lead or a UX designer and you need the ammo to make the case for digital platform investment, look no further than Corporate Insight. Our methodology is unique. We are your customer. What this means is that what the everyday consumer sees when they access a competitor website or mobile app and then log in, that's what we evaluate. So our teams review digital experiences, both pre and post login, which we refer to as the public site versus the authenticated site. So we review both publicly available information like prospect site landing pages and product pages, and we also review the behind the login authenticated experiences like viewing account positions or placing a stock trade. Today, however, we will be focused on the latter authenticated site and app experiences. So across CI in total, we have access to over 700 live accounts, not dummy accounts, these are real accounts, from over 200 financial services and insurance firms. Our analysts review user journeys on these firms' websites and mobile apps more than 750,000 times per year. We really are constantly in these websites and mobile apps, day in, day out, evaluating different features and keeping track of any experience changes. The Brokerage Experience Benchmark assesses primarily the authenticated site experience for retail brokerage account holders on websites and mobile apps. We then take that data and create reports that help our clients understand objectively where they rank in the industry and where they may have competitive advantages or opportunities to improve. These reports cover each firm within our coverage set. There's 21, and they touch on their strengths and weaknesses. They also highlight the leaders in each category, and they outline key findings. We publish one report for website experiences and one for mobile apps. And I want to emphasize that what I'm going to present today is really just a slice of what is available in these full reports. By way of example, I've got about 30 slides I'm going to talk through today. And in contrast, the full web and mobile reports are nearly 100 slides each. So if you like what you see today, there's a lot more of where that came from in the full reports. We also offer customizable versions of these benchmark reports, but today I'm going to cover findings from our 2025 syndicated version, which is available for purchase now. I talked a little bit about the benchmark broadly, but now I want to touch on research methodology, which is to say how we did the research and why we feel so confident that you should trust the results. So underpinning the Brokerage Experience Benchmark is a hierarchical framework made up of categories at the top level, and there's 8 of those. Categories are themselves made up of subcategories, and there's 45 of those. And finally, subcategories are made up of what we call attributes. And the attributes are where the magic happens. So there are more than 215 attributes for web and more than 175 for mobile. And at the attribute level, I and the analysts on my team assign one of 4 grades: excellent, good, fair, or poor. Each grade's criteria is written as objectively as possible, such that any given analyst at Corporate Insight would assign the same grade for a given firm. So let me give an example here. In the account information category, which by the way is the most important category, we might look at the balances subcategory. Within balances, you have 3 attributes: balance details, data freshness, and functionality. So let's say we're grading data freshness. What does it take to get an excellent? You have to have live streaming, real-time balance data that updates on the page without the user having to interact at all. A few firms do offer this, and they get excellent for data freshness here. A grade of good requires real-time data where the user has to hit refresh to update it, so they have to interact. And a fair is delayed data, let's say by 15 minutes, and a poor is even further delayed. So I and my analysts on my team go through this rigorous grading process for all 21 firms across every attribute in every category on both platforms. Once all the grading is done, we're able to generate scores and ranks for each category and at the overall level for both web and mobile platforms. Scores are in a simple, easy to understand format of 1 to 100. We also bucket firms using the color-coded table that you see to the right. Green is good, red is bad. I think that intuitively makes sense. And by the way, for the custom version of this research, we also provide subcategory level ranks and scores, as well as attribute level grades. So since we've been doing this for a few years now, and we started in 2023, we've been able to tease out trends in performances over time, and we can show you where individual firms and whole groups of firms are investing their resources to improve their websites and mobile apps year over year. So we'll talk about a few of those trends today, and then in the 2 categories that we're going to spotlight, which again are account information and research and methodology. We'll also look at just a few of the best practices in each category, and we'll talk about the other element that underpins this research, which is our annual investor survey. We had more than 1,500 respondents this year, and they helped us understand which web and mobile features are most important and most used in order to generate a weighting system. Because of course, not all categories are created equal. On this slide, we have our first 4 benchmark categories: account information, design and navigation, profile and settings, and trading. Beneath these in bold text are those subcategories that I mentioned. And beneath those in plain text, we have our attributes. And again, that's where the grading that I talked about happens. So one thing I do just want to hit on here and mention is that we use almost the exact same framework for web and for mobile, barring just a few minor differences. So not only that, but almost everywhere in the benchmark, it takes the same capabilities, features, and services to get an excellent for your website as it does for your mobile. This was a very conscious choice for methodology on our part, and we did it for two reasons. First, it allows you as consumers of our research to easily compare where you and your competitors may have gaps between your web and your mobile experiences. So there's no additional calculus required, and there's no thinking, okay, it takes one set of criteria to get an excellent for web and a different set of criteria to get an excellent for mobile. Second, we believe this reflects the growing importance of mobile platforms and the mobile-first cohorts of clients, which, as I mentioned, skews younger. That change isn't going to flatten out or reverse. It's only going to get more pronounced. And so we believe it's time to start thinking about mobile as being just as important as web, if not more so. And here we have the remaining four categories: account servicing, research and tools, support, and prospect experience. These are our 21 firms covered in this report, and that our research shows are the leading firms in the brokerage industry. And we bucket these firms into three categories: full service firms, hybrid firms, and self-directed firms. I've mentioned our annual investor survey a few times now, and that's because it's one of the key underpinnings of the benchmark. In our survey, we asked more than 1,500 real brokerage account holders which features they believe to be most important and which features they use the most. So when respondents call a feature very or extremely important, we call that a top two box rating, and we take note. We also take note when users tell us which features they've used most in the past 6 months. We synthesize these responses to set the importance weightings of the benchmark framework at the category, subcategory, and attribute levels. You can see the category level weights in the pie charts to the right, which are similar but not exactly the same across both platforms. For both platforms, account information is by far the most important at 30% weighting for web and 25% for mobile. The remaining categories make up the rest of the pie. And in a moment, I'm going to show you a few slides that answer the question, why is account information weighted so high? So let's take a look at a few survey findings, starting with web and then followed by mobile. All right, this chart to the right shows the top 10 most important brokerage website features and is color-coded by category. 3 categories are represented here, but one category is really overrepresented, and that's account information. Account information makes up 6 of the 10 most important features, starting with balances and finishing with real-time account data. Design and navigation elements are also highly rated by respondents, especially homepage elements. The ability to update username and password rounds out the top 10 and highlights the importance of security. It also gives me the important opportunity to point out a major parity gap between web and mobile brokerage platforms, which is that many coverage set firms actually surprisingly don't allow their users to update their username or password in the mobile app, which we feel hurts mobile first users. This chart mirrors the previous slide, but for usage, and we find that for the most part, this reflects the important slide that we just looked at. We asked respondents which website features they've used in the past 6 months. And again, account information related features dominate the list here. They make up 4 of the top 5 items in the list and 6 of the top 10 features overall. So interestingly, I think trading and research features score highly when it comes to usage. And when you combine them, they occupy 3 of the top 10 slots. A little teaser for the mobile survey results coming up is that you'll see stock trading rise in usage significantly relative to these web results. Bonus points if you can guess why. For mobile survey respondents, it's a similar story with account information features. They occupy 4 of the top 10 slots here, which really, I think, drives home their importance. Mobile users also emphasize security more so than web counterparts. But for design, we again see the home experience as the most important element of the mobile app. So if you get the home screen right, you've really won half the design battle here. Stock trading is also important here. 87% of respondents called it very or extremely important. So let's see if usage confirms that. It does. We had a full 81% of our mobile first respondents state that they've placed a stock trade in the past 6 months. And we believe that's driven by two trends here. First, the mobile app behavior is driven more by younger users, which trade more actively. We also fielded the survey amidst intense market volatility, if you can sort of think back to how the first half of this year was like. But account monitoring still dominates the top 10 list, and it again takes up 6 slots in the chart. Research occupies 2 slots, and money movement rounds out the top 10 mobile usage features. All right, let's look at some results. Maybe what everybody's here for. Without further ado, I'd like to present our top 10 finishers in the Website Experience Benchmark. And if you want the remaining 11, you'll have to get the full study. As I do, I just want to note a few elements of the table to the right because you'll be seeing this format a few more times in this presentation. The table shows, first, which color-coded classification a firm lands in from leading to trailing, then the rank and firm name. Next, it shows the firm's 2025 score compared with its score from last year and the difference between the two. Last, we show if a firm has moved up or down in rank since last year. So Fidelity earns the top spot this year, and that's for the second year in a row. It's actually extended its lead significantly over the second place firms, Schwab and E-Trade, and it now leads by 3 full points. Doesn't sound like much, but at the overall level here, a 3-point difference is a pretty sizable obstacle to overcome, and it represents the summation of much larger category level score improvements. Speaking of categories, Fidelity also earns first in 5 of the 8 website categories this year, and it has top 3 finishes in every single one. Schwab earns first in design and navigation, and E-Trade earns first in trading, which is for the 3rd year in a row. Another notable finding this year is that Merrill Lynch is the first full-service firm to enter that leading categorization of firms, so that green categorization, with a score of 80. So I think congratulations are in order, although Ameriprise here is nipping at your heels with a score of 77 and a plus 3-point improvement year over year. If that continues, they'll be tied. Speaking of improvements, almost 2/3 of firms earned a higher score this year compared with last year, which you can see by all the green numbers in that second to last column. JP Morgan SDI posted the largest year-over-year score gain with +5, which was driven by modernized trade tickets, enhanced search, and other changes. Vanguard gained +4 after adding live chat and also enhancing its keyword search feature significantly. And of course, these are just a few examples of the changes that firms made that impacted their scores and ranks. We cover a lot more than that in the full benchmark study, which you should speak to your account executive about. The last thing I want you to notice on this slide is the 2025 score column. Firms range from 88 down to 46. Keep that in range in mind as we move to the mobile version of this slide. Did you hold that range in mind? Because on the high end, it was 88 for Fidelity, and it was 46 on the low end. What is it here? It's a high of just 70 and a low of 34. It's pretty significantly different. So why is that? Well, as I've been hitting on, mobile apps lack many of the core features and journeys provided on brokerage websites, and we believe that this sells mobile-first users short. So back to the rankings here. Fidelity again takes first place, but this time it shares that with Charles Schwab. Charles Schwab held first place the previous 2 years as well, and it didn't share it, meaning Fidelity's score has improved more significantly relative to Schwab year over year. Schwab earns first in trading and support this year, while Fidelity earns first in design and nav. E-Trade and JP Morgan round out the top 3, sharing 3rd place. Like with web, scores again improved year over year, generally speaking, and for mobile it was actually even more significant. JP Morgan tied for gaining the most points this year at +5 again, that's web and mobile +5, after it added investment alerts and enhanced its mobile positions experience. While you can't see where Vanguard and UBS fall in the rankings, they had major improvements as well. In the profile and settings category, Vanguard made the largest category level score jump of any firm on any platform. It gained 22 points in profile and settings after introducing account alert and profile editing capabilities. I bring this up because something interesting to note about these enhancements that Vanguard made is that, at least for now, it added these capabilities in a package that's not really optimized for a mobile app design. It still grants the capabilities to mobile-first users, though, and now they don't have to log into the website to complete what we believe are core journeys for the brokerage experience. We think this is a solid MVP approach, and that's to give feature access first, even if it's not optimized, and then improve design later. So now let's look at some category level results. So first up is account information, which again is the most important category across both firms. This slide just provides a quick overview of the category, just a refresher here. What we cover is on the left, on the blue side, and on the right, we provide the weighting breakdown and a few interesting survey findings, like the importance of real-time data to mobile survey respondents. 88% called it very or extremely important to have real-time account data. We'll start with web results first, and we'll show some trends in the category and a best practice. And we'll do the same for mobile. All right, so first thing to notice here is that we're giving you the full scores and ranks for all 21 firms for these category level spotlights. So of course, you'll still need to purchase the full study if you want this and more for every category. And if you do, we also provide the firm top and bottom 5 subcategories and a targeted concrete recommendation for each platform, web and mobile. Fidelity earns first place here, followed very closely by Schwab. It's just 1 point behind. And then Morgan Stanley earns third and is the top full service firm in this category. Something to note here also is that full service firms do quite well in this category relative to others, and they occupy 5 of the top 11 slots. We'll see if that trend holds true for mobile as well. Scores are notably high in this category, and the average is 71. That means that the average is in our achieving classification in the blue there on the left of the table. And that's because, on the whole, firms take their account information experiences seriously. They know that most clients, most of the time that they log in, are looking to understand things like balances, performance, and positions. Consequently, score changes in the right-hand column are relatively low on average, with no firm moving up or down by more than 3 points. So firms' experiences here really are at a relatively mature state at this point. That's not to say that there have been no score changes, though. We'll look at one on the following slide that we believe meaningfully impacted the end user client experience. And then we're going to look at a best practice. Fidelity may have earned first place in the website account information category, but it's not resting on its laurels here. We believe that as basic portfolio tracking is now table stakes across financial firms, firms are competing on depth and sophistication of their performance analytics. Advanced benchmarking and risk measurement tools help differentiate premium offerings from basic portfolio assessments. So here we've got some screenshots of the updated Fidelity performance experience. And Fidelity, again, did this iteratively over a year since we fielded our previous benchmark. First, it modernized the design of the performance page and added a few new tiles, including total returns and risk measurement. These tiles can expand to provide a more complete snapshot of these data points. Later on, Fidelity also added ratings and analysis tiles. And the analysis page in particular is a valuable tool that provides benchmarking for comparing your portfolio against the market. So that's a competitor enhancement. Now let's look at a best practice. So we also provide best practices for each category. And this is an example of what that looks like. Here we provide our research shows. Here we provide what our research shows is the best website balance experience across a range of attributes, and it comes from Charles Schwab. Charles Schwab's balances are easily findable with multiple access points on both the homepage and the main nav. It's intuitively designed with clear tile formatting, expandable sections, and both tables and graphs. It provides a deep selection of data, including a range of cash and buying power metrics. It has quality of life supplementary features like a built-in account selector tool and direct access to sweep and margin rates. Schwab provides all this data in real time with a clear refresh link. But of course, here it could improve even further by providing live streaming data for balances. All right, now for some mobile results. So the first thing that stands out here, I think, is the sea of green in the score change column on the right. Nearly every firm improved since last year, and no firm did worse. This clearly demonstrates that while there's still a large parity gap between web and mobile account information, scores, and experiences, firms are starting to take that gap more seriously here in the most important category. The second thing that stands out here is that the top 3 firms are all full service firms, and it's a two-way tie for first between Ameriprise and Morgan Stanley. So both of those firms have stellar mobile account information experiences relative to the coverage set, and even relative to some self-directed and hybrid firms. Firms that we usually see in the lead, like Fidelity and Schwab, are in 6th and 12th tier respectively. All right, here we spotlight a category trend, meaning 2 or more coverage set firms are investing development resources into the same experiences. So in this case, that's the mobile positions experience. So we've got in the screenshots here on the right, both Schwab and Fidelity enhanced their position table customization experiences, which you can see in those first 2 screenshots. UBS added a detail toggle that lists holdings per individual account, which you can see in the 4th screenshot. And JP Morgan added a table view, which improves usability with capabilities like sorting and landscape compatibility. Our best practice here also covers mobile positions. While Fidelity scores lower in account information than it does in most categories, it still has the best-in-class mobile positions experience across all dimensions. It's easily findable from the home screen, and it's the investing section's landing screen. It has convenient features like a built-in account switcher, customizability, and landscape mode. And it provides a comprehensive selection of position data in streaming real time, so no updates required. So now we're going to do the same thing for the research and tools category. And hang in there, folks. These are my last 7 slides of content. So this is what we cover for research and tools, and it's largely broken down by asset type. We cover elements like quotes, screeners, news, and more here. And this is the category with the most attributes in the entire benchmark. This category is weighted the same for each platform. And we cover bond research for web, but not for mobile. And that's because it's still almost non-existent on mobile platforms. Our web results here see notably high scores for the top performers, especially first place firm Fidelity, which earns a score just 6 points away from perfect. If this year's +1 point trend continues, Fidelity could very well hit that perfect score mark in the coming years. And I think it really drives home how seriously the firm takes its research experience. It made many improvements over the past year, both iterative and major. And an example of the second kind is that it entirely revamped its fixed income research dashboard. Another interesting trend that we see in this category is specialization among the top performers. So Fidelity's major revamp notwithstanding, E-Trade actually has the strongest overall fixed income research capabilities. Merrill has the best screeners across all products. And Schwab earned a perfect 100 score for its stock research experience. We also saw some major score improvements in this category, with JP Morgan gaining +9 after enhancing a screener, its watch list, and investment alerts. And RBC also introduced investment alerts since last year, and it gained a full 7 points because of it. For our category trend here, we spotlight watch list enhancements, which 3 firms made since our last benchmark. So first, Charles Schwab first improved watch list editing, and then it later added a news tab in the watch list experience for tracking headlines that are specific to that watch list. Fidelity added a new chart view tab to its watch list, and then later it added click and drag reorder functionality. So that's another example of that iterative approach to updating experiences. JP Morgan also added many new watchlist data points, including market cap. And our best practice here. Here, we spotlight Schwab's excellent stock quote experience, which is the best in the coverage set. It has multiple access points, including an anchored quote bar at the bottom and a search field at the top of every page. Search is responsive and predictive, and users can easily access recently viewed symbols, which you can see in that long rectangular callout on the first screenshot. It includes a comprehensive selection of data, from fundamentals to ratings to technical analysis. And it also provides real-time data and quality of life features like a built-in comparison tool. Like for account information and every other category really, mobile research and tools scores are much lower than their web counterparts. And the average is just 45 compared with 60 for web. E-Trade, Fidelity, and Schwab take the top 3 positions here, with E-Trade's first place finish coming for the 3rd year running. These top firms, though, should watch out for JP Morgan. It made by far the largest point gain in this category after introducing mobile investment alerts, which is a feature that it previously lacked entirely in its mobile app. JP Morgan gained 14 points, partially for that. On the theme of web mobile parity, here are a few other areas that the average firm does worse in mobile compared with web. Screeners, a rare feature in mobile apps. Options research, which is often limited to simple options chains in mobile apps. And charting. This last one, mobile charting, may not be an easy implementation due to the form factor of mobile, but we think that firms like Schwab and Fidelity have actually largely turned this into a solved problem. And they earn scores of 83 and 82 respectively in the charting mobile subcategory. So I mentioned on the last slide that JP Morgan's 14-point gain was driven by brand new investment alert capabilities. And on this slide, I wanted to show a snapshot of what some of those look like. So clients can easily set alerts, they can manage them, and they can view triggered alerts all on the go from the mobile app. Schwab actually also made a meaningful stride here, which you can see in our 3rd screenshot on this slide, by introducing alert setting as a virtual assistant capability. So now clients have multiple investment alert setting paths within the mobile app. Lastly, our mobile research and tools best practice, which is E-Trade's stock research experience. So E-Trade has a stellar mobile stock research experience. It earns a score of 87 here for deep quotes, which include level 2 data and live streaming data. It also provides a wide range of research reports and news content from 14 different sources, including in-house Morgan Stanley research. E-Trade is also one of just 4 firms to offer a mobile app stock screener, which you can see on the 2 right-hand images on this slide. And that brings us to the end of the presentation. So that's all the content that I wanted to cover today. And now we're going to move on to a little Q&A, and I'm going to answer any questions that you might have. Okay, first question here. For firms in the effective tier, what is typically the fastest path to moving up to achieving? It's a good question. So I think that the lowest hanging fruit here is often to make improvements in the categories that have the highest weights. So if you think back to that first survey slide that I showed, which had a couple of pie charts on it, account information is worth 30% of your grade for the website platform and 25% for the mobile experience benchmark. So any improvements that you make there are going to have outsized effects on your overall score. So I think focusing on the categories that are most important, and again, remember, we didn't make up these importance numbers. These importance numbers are based off of our annual investor survey, where we asked those respondents which features they feel are most important and also which they're using the most. So account information is far and away the winner. It's the lowest hanging fruit for improvements, and it will affect your score the most. So those firms that might be in the effective tier probably also have relatively low account information scores. Not everybody, but it's frequently the case. So that's the low hanging fruit there. how do you ensure consistency and objectivity in grading subjective elements like ease of use or design and navigation across firms? Well, it's actually pretty simple. We write the criteria in as objective a way as possible. So for ease of use, I can tackle that. I think it's the best example here. Part of the experience benchmark research that we put out, it's not all capabilities and features, and I didn't touch on this in the research methodology, but we also look at 12 concrete digital journeys that users undertake on websites and mobile apps. So for account information, that might look like checking recent transaction history or downloading a recent account statement. For trading, it might look like placing a stock trade or placing a mutual fund trade. So we look at these journeys on a findability perspective and a usability perspective. So for findability, we're looking for firms that offer multiple paths to a given feature. So whether it's from the homepage, the main navigation, we're looking for clear paths to the feature. So it should be findable. And we're also looking for how usable that feature is. And here we're looking for elements of the experience that impact the usability negatively. So it might be fonts being too small or illegible. It might be tables that don't fit or don't make sense. It might be forms that don't load dynamically or are slow to load. Usability elements like that also impact it. Is there any differentiation in survey results between self-directed and advised investors? There definitely are. There are big differences. For this particular study, the syndicated version of our research, we look at the aggregate respondent. So we do have respondents across both demographics. We have other kinds of demographics as well, tabulated in the data that have to do with asset levels, for example. Self-directed and advised investors is one of those tabulations that we make. And there are differences, but for this study, we look at the aggregate user. To understand the differences between self-directed and advised investors, that's where the custom version of this study comes in. So we're able to customize the weightings. So as you can imagine, trading, for instance, not as important of a category for advised investors as it is for self-directed investors. So we would de-weight the trading category in our analysis in a custom benchmark. And the survey results back that up as well. Okay, I think I've got time for maybe one more question here. Okay, did you evaluate AI or virtual assistants in the research? And what is your sense of the industry's performance in this area? It's a great question. And obviously it's a topic that I think is top of mind for everybody right now, as we are here in the ChatGPT moment, right? The simple answer to that question is that right now, incumbent firms are not putting real generative AI agents in a client-facing role. So we're really not seeing it. On the fintech side, though, which, by the way, Corporate Insight has a fintech monitor that puts out research on the up-and-coming firms in brokerage space, bank space, and more. On the fintech side, we are seeing that more and more. Public is an example of a fintech brokerage that does have a generative AI assistant based on GPT-4. Robinhood, which is actually included in this study, has announced that its Cortex feature will soon become widely available to its users, and that will be a generative AI research assistant. So it's something that we are absolutely going to start considering more as we move forward. And every year, we're looking at our research methodology and we're reevaluating what we should look at, what we should weight. And I think there will be a very good argument for this to be a part of that methodology next year. Please feel free to reach out to these contact points on this slide with any other questions that you might have, and we'll be happy to answer. You can email me personally Also, please contact us if you're interested in learning more about the 2025 Brokerage Experience Benchmark or any other corporate insight services. So thank you, everybody. I really appreciate your time.